Hi, and welcome. My name is Jamie Stone, and today we're going to talk about a wonderful herb called comfrey. We're going to discuss its warnings, its benefits, and later on I'm going to show you how to make a salve. So, first off, let's talk about the warnings. Now, comfrey should not be taken internally. It contains a liver-toxic pyrrolidazine alkaloid. So, we don't want to be using that when we're nursing or we're pregnant. Now, the alkaloid isn't absorbed topically, but if used daily, we don't want to use it over a span of about 4 to 6 weeks. When wildcrafting, it can be easily confused with digitalis, which is also known as foxglove, whose leaves and seeds are poisonous. So you want to make sure you get an accurate identification. Now, comfrey is a perennial. It can be grown in all zones. It likes full sun, partial shade, and regular watering. Now, some species can be invasive, so we probably don't want to let those go to seed if you're growing them in your yard. Now, let's move on to the bennies. Comfrey can be used in compost piles to actually speed up the decomposition. Some common names are also known as nipbone and bruisewort, which just goes to show you that historical usage. It also contains allantoin, which encourages the formation of new tissues and cells. It also hastens the regeneration of internal and topical damaged tissue. It also contains tannins, which provide astringent and antiseptic properties. When used as a poultice, comfrey will aid any pulls, strains, or sprains. Now, why a salve, you ask? Well, a lot of times it's hard to get my family to sit down long enough to correctly use a poultice. That's why I decided, you know what? Why not make a salve with it? Now, our first step in making a salve is to infuse the oil with that goodness from the herb. And there are 2 ways to do that. If you prepare ahead of time, you can actually just very easily put your cold pressed olive oil in a jar along with your herb and let it set. I like to put it in a warm spot, shake once daily, and I like to leave it about a month. Now, there's another way to infuse an oil if you're a little hard pressed for time, and that is through the double boiler method. Very, very low temperature for about 3 hours. If you do it at too high of a temperature, you'll actually make your oil fry your herbs, and that's never good. So now we've got our infused oil. We know how to do that. Let's head on into my kitchen and I'll show you how to do the rest. Hi, and welcome back. So we've got our infused oil. I'm simply going to take my strainer over a measuring cup, put in some cheesecloth, and I'm going to strain about a cup of this infused oil. Cheesecloth works wonders at straining those herbs out. And then once we're done, we can just take what's in here, throw it in the compost, right? All right, so we've got our cup of oil with all those active constituents that have been pulled into it, strained and ready. We're going to pour that into our double boiler. And for every cup of oil I like to roughly use about an 1/8 cup of beeswax pastilles. So we've got our cup of oil in the double boiler and our 1/8 cup of beeswax pastilles. Now we're going to sit here and just slowly stir it. I have preheated my double boiler until these little pastilles dissolve all the way through. have it. We melted the beeswax, poured it back into our measuring cup, poured it into our containers, and now we're just going to slowly let them set till they solidify. And as you can see on my finger, it's already starting. So there you have it, Comfrey ointment. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll join me again. Have a great night.